Today I thought I'd share with you an experience I had recently when I purchased this Icom ID-51. I got it off eBay from a private seller who sold it as working perfectly with a couple of minor wear and tear scuffs, which is what you'd expect for a radio of its age. When it arrived, I soon noticed that the bottom two function buttons weren't working at all, and I thought maybe it was some residue from the buttons on the contacts inside. This sometimes happens when the rubber pads start to age and the metal pads on the board get coated with a thin oxidised layer. So I opened up the radio to check the contacts and they appeared to be okay, but I cleaned them anyway just to be sure, and when I reassembled the radio the fault was still there. I then googled loss of function on the buttons on the ID-51 and saw a few posts from people who had attempted the Mars cap mod, which basically widebands the radio so it can be used outside of 2 meters and 70 centimeters. So this made me wonder if the previous owner had attempted this mod and damaged the radio, and sure enough, when I checked the mod instructions and looked inside again, resistors D10 and D11 had been removed. Now, if done properly, this mod works fine, but it appears that the two resistors that needed to be removed to make the mod a success have been simply pulled or picked off the board, which has obviously damaged the traces for the buttons somewhere along the line. There are videos on YouTube showing people picking these resistors off with a screwdriver, which is obviously a big no-no anyway, especially with tiny surface mount components. These resistors are only a couple of millimeters long and around 1 millimeter wide. So I contacted the seller, who accepted the radio back after admitting a mod had been done, although he claimed he wasn't aware that the radio wasn't functioning properly. The buttons on my model are obviously required for many functions, and you can't make the most of the radio without the use of them, so unfortunately it had to be returned, and I'll have to try another time on the ID-51. Now, another thing to note is that a similar mod will also wideband the Icom ID-52, but like the ID-51, be sure to send it to a radio dealer or somebody experienced in working with surface mount components, because it'd be a shame to destroy a £500 radio.